Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Have questions for today.
Yes.
By the way, we have to give the disclaimer that there is no expert in any field that could give individual specific advice in this format, right? So when you write in your questions, and we hope that you will write them in, and your comments and your concerns as well, we hope that you will write in as much specific information as you can, knowing that Dr. Grand-Pichet is going to give you information of a general nature to help you to know what questions to go back and ask the experts who have literal eyes on your child. And that is invaluable, and people have told us it's invaluable. So let's start with, my son is 12 years old. He has trouble with transitions and changes since he is very young. He has Down syndrome and autism, L2.
Level 2.
Well, yes,
which
verbal.
Is wrong, but okay.
I know. This part drives you crazy
It
because it
does
should be
drive me
two
crazy.
numbers,
It's two
but
numbers.
nobody ever gives us anything more than one number. Okay, verbal and very smart. He started middle school 2019. Lots of behaviors because everything was new. Even though we had a social story, we used real pics of teacher and school, but didn't work. It took 2 months for him to get adjusted, and since he came back from winter break, the behaviors are back. He elopes very often and aggressive, no progress in academics. His school schedule is from 8 a.m. to 3:40, and he has speech therapy and OT a total of 3 times a week. He has 2 hours per week of ABA at card. We are lost. We want to try a half-day school and then home or therapies and hire a tutor for afternoon at home. How can we make this possible?
Right. Can I just go back and find his age? He's 12. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, thank you. And if you are at card, I just want to make sure that you are at this card. There's a couple of cards on the East Coast. There's
They are
one
at this
in-
card.
They are at this
They are
card.
at this card.
Great.
They are at this
This is
card.
very unusual for us to do 2 hours a week. So, but the fact that we're doing 2 hours a week, great, you're in, and now I would ask you to increase that because we can accomplish very little with 2 hours a week, very, very little, if anything. So let's start with that, and this is how, I mean, there's a lot of information here, but this is what I would do if I saw you. This is the kind of feedback that I'd give you if I did an evaluation or assessment of your child. Do you know, Shannon, where they are, by the way? What city? No.
I believe that it's Northern California.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% positive.
Okay. So what I suggest is that you need to write down, like you need to, and if he's at card, I'm sure you filled out a skills assessment, which basically means that somewhere there's a list of all of his strengths and his areas of need, right? So these are the things he cannot do. These are the things he's very good at doing. That list is super important because that's our foundation. That's where we're starting. And it'll be things like, you mentioned a few, he's verbal. So if he's verbal, that's a strength. I would want to know a lot more about that. Like, how verbal is he? What types of sentences does he say? Does he express himself? Does he express his needs? Does he say when he's upset about something? Does he communicate with peers? Does he just ask for things he needs? Like, what is his verbal ability? And because wherever that is, our goal would be to increase that, right? Because verbal skills are very, very important. Communication is very important to everything, to life, to social behavior, etc. So here's his verbal ability, and we want to increase that. And then you wrote, let's say he has lots of behaviors, and I don't know what that means, but I assume that means he has challenging behaviors, and perhaps they are in relation to transitions, maybe other things as well. So we'd want to list all those things, and we'd want to say, these are the behaviors that we need to increase, and these are the behaviors that we need to decrease. So for example, instead of being aggressive or running away, he elopes, we want him to communicate more and say that he's upset. Instead of running away, we want him to say, I don't want to do this anymore, or can I have a break, or something like that. So all of these behaviors, challenging behaviors, have to be decreased or completely eliminated. And these other positive behaviors like communication and social behavior and even academics and all the stuff that he needs need to increase, right? So that we're approaching the norm a little bit more. Now, in order to do that, I can tell you that unfortunately, if it was as simple as let's put him in school for full time, 8 to 3:40, then that would be great. But unfortunately, our kids just don't learn that way. They need the one-to-one. They need the specialized instruction. They need the instruction that's just based on their skills. So, you know, the more you can actually reduce his school and increase his therapy hours for a while, the better. Because right now, our goal is not to teach him every skill he needs. It's to teach him how to learn. It's to teach him how to be within a series of rules. It's to teach him to be compliant, to learn things based on reinforcement theory. It's to teach him to, like, you know, be motivated about increasing his language and not motivated about running away or being aggressive. When our kids run away, the reason is generally because either they enjoy the attention of someone running after them, or very frequently it's just because they don't want to do the thing that's being done in that environment. So they elope, they run away, they don't want to deal with it. Because instead of that, what would a typically developing child do? They would just basically say, this is boring, I don't want to deal with this, can we do this later? Can I have a break right now? All these different communication processes are in place for typically developing kids, so they don't have to run away. The other part of it is, like, if you're aggressive, the aggression is not part of the autism. The aggression is just an expression of frustration. A typical 12-year-old would perhaps do a variety of things, like just say, Mom, I don't want to deal with this, or leave me alone, I'll do it later, or whatever, right? A variety of things. Our kids don't know any better, and aggression and eloping has worked for them. So it takes a lot of time for us to teach a child that eloping doesn't work, aggression doesn't work. These are not the right way to communicate. And so my real suggestion to you is, yes, if you can do half day at school, or even flip his school schedule. Like, as you know, at CARD we have a very significant shortage of therapists, even though we have like close to 6,000 BTs now, behavior techs now. We just don't have enough of them. So our mornings, we always have a lot of therapists available in the morning. So if there's any chance that you can provide us the morning time, like he comes to CARD from 8 to 12, and then he goes to school from 12 to 3:40, that would be ideal, because he would get a lot out of the morning sessions. He would get a ton out of that. I don't know if something like that is possible, but it's something close to that. If you can't do that, sure, you can always try to get him afternoon sessions with us. It's a little bit harder. You do not need a tutor. We will teach him everything he needs to know. I don't know why you would need a tutor, because they're thinking about hiring a tutor for the afternoons.
They're in Texas.
You're in Texas. And we have lots of offices in Texas, and
at a good office.
Yeah, lots of good offices there. Absolutely,
at a great
I agree.
office.
I think those are the things you have to do. It's not. I don't think, and I haven't seen your child, but it's not really about. It's social stories at this point. When you have things like aggression and eloping and stuff, social stories are not they're not going to work. It's not enough. The child first has to learn that his behavior has a direct consequence, and if they elope, they're not going to get away. If they hit, they're not going to achieve what they wanted. But if they ask, they will get what they want, and if they say things nicely, they will. That's a process that can only be taught through hours of ABA. So really, yes, my answer is you need to intensify the ABA and reduce the schooling for a while if you can. And that makes sense that they would be in Texas, because they are we do have a state program in Texas where we do 2 6 hours a week. So,
but there's another way to do that, and I'm going to ask this parent to reach back out to me specifically about upping your hours if you are on the Texas grant. I don't remember if that is why, but we need to work for you to get more hours for your child.
absolutely right.
That's what needs to
Absolutely
happen.
right.
So
Yes.
reach back out to me and I'll reach back out to you and let's make that happen. We're going to take a short break, and you guys have written in a bunch of questions on the live feature, and we're going to come back and talk about some of those. So stick with us. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.